It's been a little over 2 years since the 2020 NBA draft came about, and most players have made their footing in the NBA already. This draft has been one of the more weirder drafts to say the least, with COVID hitting and a lot of players being misevaluated. So to keep the intro short and sweet in today's video, today we're going to give a letter grade to each of the lottery picks in the 2020 draft. Before getting started, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, StubHub. StubHub is the #1 website in the world to buy or sell tickets to your favorite events, whether that be sports games, concerts, and so many more events. StubHub is an easy-to-use website where you can easily find great ticket prices for whatever you want to go to. If you check early, you might be able to find some great deals to go to the 2023 NBA draft in person, which is only 3 months away. Also, check out the link in the pinned comment or description to find some exclusive discounts on gear at the NBA store before they expire. It would mean so much to me as well to help support the channel. If you have any video suggestions or requests, please drop a comment so I can put it on the list and create it. If you enjoy this video, please subscribe. It's the best way to support this channel and ensure you don't miss out on any great basketball content like this. Also, like the video and comment what you think about the grades I gave for each 2020 draftee. With that being said, let's dive straight into the video. The first pick in the draft, Anthony Edwards, gets an A so far in his NBA career. Edwards has been nothing short of sensational throughout his first 3 seasons in the NBA. Although he's been on a disappointing Minnesota Timberwolves team that can't make any right moves for their franchise's direction, Edwards has been the lone bright spot for this squad, who just clinched his first of many All-Star selections this year. So far into the season, Edwards has been averaging 25 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists off great efficiencies across the board, looking like a future superstar in the league. Ant's 3-point shot has been improving each year he's been in the league, and he's also been scoring in the mid-range better than ever. Although there isn't much bad to say about Ant-Man so far, one thing that is concerning is his health. He's been seen making bad food choices, admitting to eating Popeyes and chips in post-game interviews, which doesn't seem like that big of a deal right now, but for his longevity, it's extremely concerning. Most NBA players are on strict diets, eating very healthy, especially the ones who have the longest careers like LeBron James and Chris Paul. Considering his play style is heavily reliant upon his athleticism, people have all the right to be concerned that his health won't be able to hold up anymore. But besides that, I think as long as Edwards keeps improving on his game, he has a chance to legitimately be one of the best players in the NBA and in contention for MVP in his prime if all goes well. The second pick in the draft, James Wiseman, gets a C- so far in his NBA career. Wiseman has been one of the tougher players to grade, but the reasoning for this grade is due to the lack of opportunities he got with the Warriors and the injuries he's been faced with. He hasn't put up the numbers you would like to see from a #2 pick in the draft, but ever since getting traded to the Detroit Pistons, he's shown flashes of potential major impact in the NBA, having multiple double-figure performances in points and rebounds. For the Warriors, this pick was a flat-out F, because they essentially traded him to get Gary Payton, who they lost in free agency. But James Wiseman as a player is starting to look more like a C or a C+, which is why I put him in between. So far on the season, Wiseman's been averaging 8 points and 4 rebounds a game, but since getting traded to the Pistons, he's been averaging around 13 points and 8 rebounds a game, while getting his first real opportunity to adjust to the NBA game. I'm so glad he got traded because with the rebuilding Pistons team, he won't have to worry about playing inconsistent minutes and will be able to play 25+ minutes a night and get to play through his mistakes and develop into the player we all know he has potential to be. So overall, Wiseman hasn't had the most pleasing career up to date, but it's still very early in his development process since he missed all of last season in NBA action and his 1 year in college. I think he has potential to make a major impact in the NBA level with his new Detroit Pistons team, and I'm excited to see what the future holds for James Wiseman. The third pick in the draft, Lamelo Ball, gets an A- so far into his NBA career. Simply put, Ball has been a superstar in the NBA and looks like the face of the franchise down in Charlotte, but he's been plagued with injuries up to this point, and it's been holding him back from maximizing his full potential. Up to this point, LaMelo's been injured 7 different times, and 4 of them in the past 16 months have been in the same ankle. Without these injury problems, LaMelo would no question get an A+ due to his elite performances. So far this season, LaMelo Ball has been averaging 23 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists per game. Not only does LaMelo have legit production, but he's one of the most fun players to watch and marketable players in the league, who's the guy that can build the culture in Charlotte and attract other players to come play with him. Ball scores the ball at all 3 levels, and being 6'7", he's extremely shifty and crafty around the rim, while also being able to hit all kinds of difficult shots. Ball's best skill though by far is his playmaking ability. Ball can make passes you didn't think were humanly possible and see the floor just as good as anyone in the NBA, and can also execute ridiculous passes, arguably better than anyone in the NBA. I'm hoping Lamelo can get healthy quickly and put all these ankle injuries away like Steph Curry did early in his career, so he can keep up his trajectory to becoming one of the best players in the NBA and a future superstar. The 4th pick in the draft, Patrick Williams, gets a C+ so far into his NBA career. At the time of the 2020 NBA draft, the narrative around Patrick Williams was that he was a project player who was a good role player off the bench for Florida State. Up to this point in his NBA career, he's been just that, and has been a solid role player for the Bulls, who's been an above average defensive presence on the floor. Williams also displayed a high IQ off the ball, knowing how to get himself in the right positions to score and be a threat to catch lobs or drive to the basket. Williams also has shown he's capable of hitting threes from beyond the arc, and is slowly progressing his mid-range game as well. So far into the season, Patrick Williams has been averaging 10 points and 4 rebounds a game, shooting about 42% from 3. His career thus far has been slowed down due to injury, which sidelined him indefinitely last year, but he's been showing some progress, proving he has a place in the NBA. But when you're drafting at number 4, you'd hope to get a player that would bring more of an impact than he does, which is why I gave him a C+. The 5th pick in the draft, Isaac Okoro, gets a C so far into his NBA career. Like Patrick Williams, Okoro is one of those project players who scouts perceive to have a high upside. Okoro hasn't been showing those flashes we once saw at Auburn, and has been pretty underwhelming to say the least. Isaac is on a loaded Cleveland Cavaliers team currently, which won't give him much opportunity to have the ball in his hands, but when he has his opportunities, he hasn't been living up to it. It all starts with his half-court offense, which is very limited. He isn't able to break guys down off the dribble, and he isn't a reliable shooter off the dribble or off the catch. Okoro is at his best in transition, filling the lanes and going up for lobs, or making the right cut to the basket. So far into the season, Isaac Okoro has been averaging 7 points and 3 rebounds a game, shooting about 35% from 3. His best strength though is on the defensive end. With his quickness and athleticism, he's able to be an above average defender, but nevertheless, he isn't what you want out of a guy that you pick with the 5th pick in the draft. And being that he's playing with guys like Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, he must be able to space the floor and be some sort of threat offensively. So because of that, I give Isaac Okoro a C. The 6th pick in the draft, Oneyka Okongwu, gets a B so far into his NBA career. Although Oneyka hasn't been the most consistent player this year, his impact on the defensive end, especially down low, has been amazing. As a backup center for the Hawks, Oneyka provides elite versatility down low on the defensive end to go along with a high motor, emerging into one of the best shot blockers into the NBA. He's also been improving a lot on his offensive game down low. Oneyka Okongwu has improved little by little each year and is starting to put all the pieces together despite getting limited minutes. So far into the season, Okongwu has been averaging 10 points and 7 rebounds a game, shooting an amazing 64% from the field. I expect that Oneyka will solidify his role as his Hawks starting center very soon, and what makes me so optimistic about him is his potential that he hasn't tapped into yet. Despite the production he's been giving the Hawks, he's still a very raw player, and with more playing time under his belt, he's sure to become an even better player than he already is. The 7th pick in the draft, Killian Hayes, gets a D- so far into his NBA career. There isn't much to say when it comes to Killian Hayes, besides he's been extremely underwhelming. He showed quickly into his NBA career that he doesn't have the ability to score the ball that's needed out of a guard in the NBA, and is one of the worst shooters in the NBA to date. He's also extremely inefficient doing so, shooting a dismal 28% from beyond the arc, and around 37% from the field. During his rookie year, Killian had all the chances in the world to play through his struggles and find his groove into the league. The same could be said about last year to a lesser extent, due to Cade Cunningham playing over him for part of the season. And this year is the same story, with Cade being shut out for the season due to injury. Despite all these chances, Killian has shown, even though he's playing over 30 minutes a game as the only option at point guard, he isn't able to create any damage offensively, besides the damage he's causing to the team. His playmaking so far in the NBA hasn't been as good as advertised, but he's still been solid in that department. But like we mentioned before, a point guard who isn't a threat to score isn't a threat to be a playmaker. Hayes has been good defensively, but has shown inconsistency effort-wise. To his defense, he did battle with a hip injury previously, but when Cade gets back next season, the Pistons will have no problem benching Hayes, and that could be his last chance getting on the NBA floor. So far into Killian Hayes' NBA career, he's been averaging 10 points and 6 assists per game off bad efficiencies. It's safe to say Killian Hayes is not the player Detroit was hoping to get with the 7th pick in the draft, and that's why he gets a D-. The 8th pick in the draft, Obi Toppin gets a C so far in his NBA career. There weren't many prospects as exciting and fun to watch as Toppin, but during his time in the NBA, he hasn't panned out as well as one would like. Toppin has shown flashes of his elite athleticism and what he could be on the offensive end as a mismatched forward, but there's a lot more weaknesses than strengths in Toppin's game, and it all starts with his defense. Despite Toppin being one of the stronger and more athletic guys in the league, Obi isn't that great of a defender and isn't as versatile as you would like for his prototype. The next main weakness is Toppin's shooting. Currently, Obi is shooting 31% from 3 this season, and at times when he has the ball on the perimeter, he needs to be a threat to score there. Lastly, Toppin is a pretty inconsistent player and can go for 20 on one night, but 2 on the next night. And since he's meant to be a scoring forward, he needs to be more consistent. But to his defense, he's playing behind Julius Randle, and at times, he hasn't been playing the same amount of minutes every game. So far in his NBA career, Obi Toppin's been averaging 6 points and 3 rebounds a game off limited minutes. I think Obi can become an Aaron Gordon type player in the NBA, but still needs to improve his defense, shooting, and consistency overall to have longevity in the league. The 9th pick in the draft, Deni Avdija, gets a C+ so far in his NBA career. Deni has been a pretty interesting player. Standing at 6'9", he's a very good playmaker and makes all the right passes and can facilitate an offense if needed. Avdija is also a good defender for his size, being versatile enough to guard 1 through 4. Avdija has also shown he's a good off-ball player who knows how to move without the ball and play through a flow of an offense to get open shots. The main knock on Deni though is his scoring ability. Deni has been shooting very poor percentages from beyond the arc, shooting around 43% from the field, but an awful 29% from beyond the arc. Despite his scoring deficiencies, Deni Avdija is averaging 9 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists this season. Besides his scoring, there isn't much holding him back from becoming a good player. If he can focus on getting a quicker, more consistent shot and find different ways to score with the ball in his hands, I think Deni could outplay the grade I gave him. The 10th pick in the draft, Jalen Smith, gets a D so far in his NBA career. To be fair, Smith never got the full opportunity to show what he's about, playing behind DeAndre Ayton in Phoenix. Nevertheless, the grade for the Suns is a straight F, but since Jalen is starting to get his feet wet with the Pacers, I think he has more room to grow, which is why I'm not giving him an F. As soon as Smith got into the NBA, the Suns shocked everyone by instantly becoming one of the top teams in the NBA, and later making the finals during his rookie year. Jalen barely got on the floor and didn't get much of a chance to show what he could do. About a year later, he was traded to the Indiana Pacers for Torrey Craig. Jalen Smith has been showing some nice flashes with his new team, averaging 9 points and 6 rebounds a game, but Jalen's still been pretty inconsistent. He's also emerging into a solid rebounder and post presence, who will likely be a good role player for the Pacers in years to come. But unfortunately, Jalen gets a D. The 11th pick in the draft, Devin Vassell, gets a B+ so far in his NBA career. Being one of the few lottery picks who looks like they have star potential, Vassell is looking like an amazing draft pick so far for the Spurs, and has exceeded all expectations placed on him prior to his time in the NBA. Vassell is an elite two-way guard or forward who can score from all 3 levels on the floor, both off the dribble and off the catch. He's also a capable playmaker like Avdija, who can make great passes off the catch or off the dribble. Vassell is also a very versatile defender who can guard multiple positions and brings tenacity on that end of the floor. What I love about Devin is that in each of his first 3 seasons in the NBA, he's taken a huge leap in each year, becoming more efficient, producing more on the stat sheet, getting more comfortable with the NBA game, and playing at a better pace each year. So far into the season, Devin Vassell has been averaging 19 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists per game, being one of the Spurs' brightest young players and best players currently on the team. Being with the Spurs, I think he could develop into one of the elite two-way wings in the NBA as he keeps improving year by year. And as the Spurs enter a long rebuild, he'll have time to progress his game. Overall, I love the pick for the Spurs and how the prospect panned out, and because of that, I give Devin Vassell a B+. The 12th pick in the draft, Tyrese Haliburton, gets an A+ so far in his NBA career. Tyrese has easily been the best pick in the draft, and arguably the best player in this draft as well, making every team that picked above 12 look stupid for passing up on him. Ironically, the Kings, who have some of the worst history when it comes to drafting players, picked a future superstar who in his first season instantly impacted, proving he's one of the NBA's brightest young stars. His court vision and playmaking ability is absolutely outstanding, and Haliburton possesses an extremely high basketball IQ. Tyrese is also an amazing scorer, who despite the criticism on his form, has still managed to shoot 40% from beyond the arc. Tyrese is also amazing at getting to the brim for a bunch of crafty finishes, or drawing fouls and getting to the line. Haliburton has a shifty and wiggly handle that he can use to beat anybody off the dribble. Midway into Haliburton's second season in the NBA, he was traded to the Indiana Pacers for Domantas Sabonis, which was thought of as a crazy trade for the Kings, but doesn't look so bad in hindsight due to how well Sabonis is playing currently. but Haliburton has taken his game to the next level with the Pacers and is looking like he'll lead the team to becoming one of the best teams in the NBA in years to come. Tyrese is a walking double-double who's averaging 21 points and 10 assists per game, shooting close to 50-40-90 efficiencies, which is top tier. Overall, this pick was an absolute W, and because of how he's playing currently compared to his peers, he gets an A+. The 13th pick in the draft, Kira Lewis Jr. gets a D+ so far in his NBA career. Kira is another player who has gotten limited minutes with the Pelicans, understandably so, due to their loaded depth at both guard spots. But despite the lack of consistent minutes Kyra's gotten, he's seen enough chances to show some flashes of what he could do, and those flashes haven't been shown at the rate you'd like. Lewis Jr. is a capable shooter who can handle the rock, who has elite quickness to go with it, but his assist to turnover ratio isn't too appealing compared to other undersized guards in the league. So far into the season, Kira Lewis Jr. is averaging 5 points a game, playing around 10 minutes a game. I think he's better suited in the G League for now, developing, and hopefully he can get his groove together in the NBA someday. Finally, the 14th pick in the draft, Aaron Nesmith, gets a C- so far in his NBA career. In Nesmith's first 2 seasons in the league, he struggled to crack the rotation for the Boston Celtics and was pretty bad during his time with them, shooting underwhelmingly considering how he was supposed to be a shooter coming into the NBA, and somewhat regressed production-wise from his first to second season in the NBA. And at this point, all signs pointed to Aaron Nesmith being a bust, until he found a new home with the Indiana Pacers, where he's really started to emerge into an above-average role player. Nesmith started to knock down shots at a more efficient rate, and is showing his capability of being a decent rebounder and off-ball player in the rotation for Indiana. When given the opportunities, Aaron has had multiple 20-point performances in some big-time games and has shown he's able to be a microwave scorer. So far into the season, Nesmith's been averaging 10 points and 4 rebounds a game off solid efficiencies. Overall, the pick for Boston wasn't good, but Nesmith is starting to pan out into a much better player than he was with the Celtics. Obviously, this draft isn't as good as other drafts, and I give out some harsh grades for some of these guys. Hopefully some of them can get everything together and find their roles into the NBA. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe and check out any other videos if you enjoyed this one. Make sure to check out the links in my pinned comment for a look at StubHub and special sales on NBA gear up to 60% off. I'll see you guys in the next video and have a blessed day. Peace.